Hi, everybody. Just gonna wait till we have a quorum and we'll get started. I think we're close. Hey, it looks like we're ready to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 8 is a majority, so that works. So good evening. I'm Peter Wood. This is Adams Morgan's Advisory Neighborhood Commission 1C, our February 2025 general meeting. Welcome all in attendance. Guess we'll begin by calling to order and an introduction of commissioners. So who do we got here? I always struggle to choose which numerical order to go in. Let's go in, I guess, reverse numerical order, starting with CO9. How's that sound?
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the advisory neighborhood commissioner from CO9. I don't know, Peter, is there anything else we should say for introductions?
Just the area, just the boundaries of where your SMD is, I guess.
My SMD is in between 16th and 17th Street and also touches Calorama down by the Harris Teeter and Columbia Road. It's sort of like a slanted rectangle. That's it.
Jean's not here, so I guess Commissioner Laughlin.
All right. Hi, Linda Laughlin, Commissioner for 1CO6. It's the eastern side of Adams Morgan on Lanier, cornering with Harvard and Columbia. Great to see everyone and everyone online or listening in.
Scuttleson, 1C05. 1C05 is sort of a little narrow stripe that runs from the Compass Coffee at the head of 18th Street and the Truist Bank and includes Safeway and kind of goes from there through the Ontario building to the entrance of the zoo. Good to see everybody.
Hi, everybody. Maria Lee Diamond, 1CO4. Thank you for joining us to spend a little bit of your Wednesday evening, or if you're watching this later, a little bit of time with your fabulous ANC commissioners. So my SMD borders on Scott, so it's basically Biltmore Street and Calvert Street and a little bit of 19th Street, a little bit of 20th Street, and a little bit of Adams Mill Road and Ontario Place. So it's kind of a weirdly shaped puzzle piece.
Hi, I'm Peter. I represent 1C03. Mine's really easy to describe. 18th, 19th, Biltmore to Wyoming. Very compact, right in the middle. Mr. Michael's Horowitz, there we go.
Yes, I guess that leaves me. Hi everyone, Daniel here, represent 1CO1. We're number 1. And I am at the southern end of the neighborhood, bounded by Florida on the south, Wyoming on the north, and between roughly 18th on the east and Connecticut and Columbia on the west side. So thank you very much, Peter.
Yeah, I want to double check. I think that we might have Commissioner Evans on here, but I think she's just raised their hand. Jay's up. Jay's iPhone, I'm guessing that's right. Yeah, perfect. We'll just bear with us for a second, please.
And while we're waiting, I'm sure everyone knows that we have a vacancy on the ANC. That's 1CO8. And I want to encourage anyone here who is considering the role to reach out to any of us, talk about it, and to put your name forward. We'd love to have that seat filled. 1CO8 is adjacent to me, east bounded on the south by Florida. And I'm looking at the map on the ANC site. It's Calorama on the north. It stretches up to Euclid between 17th and Ontario, and then down Ontario back towards Florida. So just encouraging everyone who is interested or knows anyone in that seat, and please reach out, happy to answer questions.
Thanks. Commissioner Evans, all yours for introduction. Hopefully we got the right person. I apologize if not. Sometimes that happens. Okay, looks like we're having trouble with some technical issues, so maybe we can come back to that. But Commissioner Evans seems to be in here, 107. It's immediately to the east of 103, so the east side of 18th Street, more or less along that corridor. You can give a better description in a minute if you get a chance to come back. So to start the meeting, let's just consider and approve our meeting agenda. We've done this in various ways in the past. I'm trying to kind of consolidate, make sure that our order of operations is a little bit more compact than it has been in the past. A few late additions I want to propose to making to the agenda before you have it finalized. There are 5, I think. One, so AB and okay.
Commissioner Wood, just a point of a note we got for Commissioner Evans. She's trying to get in along with Anthony from the mayor's office, which when we take public comment, we'll have Anthony, you should raise your hand for that. But Jean, do you want to try again to raise your hand? Because we tried, we just can't seem to get you up.
Yeah, it looks like Anthony's in here. So just when the time comes, we'll promote
Yeah.
speakers. I'll get Commissioner Evans in here again.
But Jean, when the thing comes up and to join you as a panelist, make sure to accept if maybe that's been part of the issue. But it looked like pop you up. But I just wanted to put that out. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Let's try this again. Sometimes phones are trickier than computers too, so that might be a part of it. All yours, Commissioner, if you take yourself off mute.
Okay, guys, you hear me?
And
Yes,
great.
we can.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Is Anthony, because he called me. He was having a hard time getting in as well.
We'll have Sean deal with that. It looks like he's in here. It's just we haven't got
Okay.
community on this point.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
Welcome. All right, so that has 7 of the 8 current commissioners here. As I was saying, our agenda, some late additions. Let me just make sure I get them right because I want to propose adding a couple to the consent agenda and some not to the consent agenda so we can discuss and vote individually. Approve expenditure for Sean and also approve expenditure for Sean. Basically just making sure our books are in order. This is already kind of in line with what the contract is, but we're just, the treasurer Olson is trying to make sure that our paperwork is just more crystal clear, I guess, to avoid issues in the future. So I propose adding those to our just consent agenda with the other 5 items that are currently there. And I take that back, the first 3. So they have $15 expenditure as well. Propose having that there. If anyone has, by the way, any issues with any consent item, we can always just have one person say something, take it off and discuss it individually. And then simultaneously propose the 4th and 5th items to be just general business, individual items. If anyone wants to discuss any of those, we can also break it up. I'm just trying to make this more efficient. Can I get a second to discuss and vote on that?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Laughlin. All right, so yeah, any questions? Just a few. I'm adding these on the condition that adding them late to the agenda will not be adverse to the neighborhood. A couple of them, at least one of them was my fault. I just was slow to respond to an email and they were very patient. The others, just timely things that sometimes happen within the week, public notice. And I don't think they're too controversial or consequential that short notice will be much of an issue. Any questions or comments about those potential additions, commissioners? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to the additions? Any abstentions? All right, we got our agenda. Well, now we have a different set agenda. If someone's kind enough to edit that for me, please feel free. But if not, the agenda is, well, I guess we have to technically move to finalize the agenda. Can I get a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. All those in favor of having the February agenda finalized, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we have a set agenda. So now we'll start with officers' reports. Chair's report, Commissioner Michaelson Horowitz did a good job of already kind of saying this, but we have one vacant position in the commission. I think we just got an email today, or some people, I don't remember who exactly was on it. Basically, the Board of Elections has a protocol for how they fill or potentially fill vacant seats. So it's not just a rolling basis. If you want to run for it, you can. There's actually fixed timelines. The first fixed timeline expired, I want to say Monday. So I think it's February 18th is the next one. So that they have a process where they have to publish vacancies in the DC Register. And then after it's in the register, because it's officially public at that point, then they have an open period. So if you're interested, if you live in 1CO8, which is just south of Harris Teeter, essentially, there's maps online you can find. If you're interested in running or know someone who might be interested and you think they do a good job, reach out. We can get them in touch with the Board of Elections. February 18th to March 10th, I think, is the next period to be able to collect those 25 signatures and potentially get on the ballot. And if you don't have any opponents, you just get the position. So that's pretty easy if you can get that support from neighbors. Besides that, the other thing that, as Cheryl mentioned, I had this posted somewhere. Oh yeah, so I did attend a meeting. I think they're having periodic meetings every month-ish regarding the Taft Bridge. So that's on Connecticut Avenue, the northwest corner of the neighborhood. I've been trying to stay pretty involved in what are some proposed changes to that bridge. I mean, it's regarding several incidents of self-harm that have happened on the bridge in the past, and that's an important issue that I've been involved with. So I've been talking to predominantly ANC 3C, one of their commissioners has also been very involved. And of course is welcome to anyone else that wants to be a part of this. But basically the plans that we have in the past supported as an ANC seem to be moving forward. I think construction to put up taller guardrails on the bridge is slated to tentatively start this summer, and it'll take, they said, roughly a year because they have to do traffic diversion and a lot of things. A lot of the delay for the project is because there's a historic preservation board, and some of the historic preservationists slowed the process for reasons that are not always clear. But it seems to be moving ahead, and hopefully that will be a good thing for that specific site, as well as I've asked if it'll be potentially faster to implement similar things on other bridges in the city, because they've done a lot of the kind of back work to figure out how to do this. Seems like a potentially yes to that question, but probably case by case. But in any way, case that it's a bridge that's had multiple deaths on it and been pushing to try to make it so that's less likely, because it's important to a lot of neighbors. I'll stop there. I have individual commissioner announcements, but I won't get into that just yet. Secretary's report. Do you have anything for this month?
I don't think I have anything incredibly significant, just working on meeting notice projects that we talked about, and hope to have more soon on that. That's it.
Regular meeting schedule for our committees this month, right?
Yes, yes.
Treasurer's report. I know you got stuff, so let's hear it.
I think folks who have access to the agenda should be able to click in and see the treasurer report. We might reorganize where these things are. Last month, I did not give an update because I had just been appointed as the treasurer and I didn't have access to the financial documents. So I have a bit of a backlog now to tell folks about if they're interested in our fiscal year 2025 budget. And the fiscal year runs from October through December. So the fiscal year that we're in now started in October 2024 and will run through September of 2025. That budget had us starting with approximately $7,000 and ending with $23,000. Our current balance is, and had us receiving $23,000 and spending some amount of it. Our current balance now is about $12,000 with no checks or payments outstanding. So that we've received what I understand to be a partial allotment for fiscal year 2025 quarter one and a full allotment for 2025 quarter two. I've retrieved and I'm in possession of and I'm mostly organized our existing financial records. There are some resolutions on the consent agenda about this now. One is about designating a storage location for these materials. Another one is approving updated quarterly financial reports, which are reports that were required by code to deliver to the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions. I think there was some confusion on the previous reports that arose from the fact that there's different accounting for how you deal with checks of when they're written versus when they are cashed. And that led to some discordant records that I think we now have sorted out now that we don't have any checks outstanding. I'm also working to catalog our ongoing expenses, our subscriptions, contracts, the sort of things that were required that we need to spend money on to do business as a commission. We are going to start, we've applied for and are getting a debit card from the bank. So using that, and ACH transfers are going to mean that we're going to sign many fewer physical checks as a commission. That's one of the things that's on the consent agenda, is to pay for the ability to do these kinds of ACH transactions through Truist Bank, who's our bank, because we have a business account with them. There's a monthly cost to do that kind of transaction with them. I think this is ultimately worth it because it means that for a few, order of $10, $15 a month, we're going to avoid having to sign and ship, mail physical checks, which I think is overall going to help our efficiency a lot as a commission. I'm going to draft a document retention policy. I don't know that this needs to be approved by the commission or voted on in any way, but it's just something I'd like to memorialize and have clear for whoever succeeds me as treasurer, about what documents to keep and which ones to discard. My preference and what I'd like to move us toward as a commission is moving toward electronic formats and discarding physical records where possible, using a rule of thumb of a 7-year document retention for digital or for physical. This is going to simplify the number of physical records that need to be maintained and transferred between commissioners. Also, digitizing existing records is going to make it easier for us to work with OANC and ensure compliance with the code. I'm resolving some backlog items with OANC, mostly around the quarterly financial reports, although there's 1 or 2 cases where this commission has made expenditures that OANC thinks need different documentation. The most relevant one is a grant that we've given in the past. So again, to revisit the quarterly financial reports that I'm asking the commission to update on the consent agenda now are not because there's been any meaningful change in the expenditures that have happened in the commission, but just because they have happened in different months and happened across the border of a fiscal quarter. And so therefore they got put into different places in different reports. And my only note for the secretary is that our meeting minutes must reflect these specific QFRs, quarterly financial reports, that were approved. We need that specific note in the minutes in order to get that passed to OANC. Commissioner Michelson Horowitz, I don't know if this is a question for me that your hand raised. I would love to answer a question in my treasurer report.
No, this is great. I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm curious if the AONC has a records retention policy that they either recommend or require for ANCs. 7 years is a long time. I'm just curious how he came up with that.
7 years is a long time. I don't know that OANC has a policy. I'm going to talk with them a little bit on this and some other issues. I'm also curious to talk with other treasurers, either in Ward 1 or amongst the OANCs in general, to see if folks have systems that they're using. The QFR system that's used by OANC has made a lot of these things very easy because you are sort of required and encouraged to upload a number of documents that it seems like OANC is mirroring on their side. My reason for the 7 years is that this is what the IRS recommends for payroll records. We don't have anyone on the payroll right now as a commission, but we do have some payroll records. We have contractors, but we don't have employees right now. So we're not paying payroll tax. And so IRS recommends that you maintain 7 years of records about payroll tax. So I'm sort of being a bit conservative in that. My hope is to simply discard things that are older than 7 years old, digitize what is left, or maintain physical copies where that's not feasible. And then as time passes, removing things that are older than 7 years is very simple if you're all in digital format.
Well, that's a lot. That was really thorough. I really appreciate the clarity and great work so far. And Commissioner Swanson Palmer, I'll help make sure that the minutes reflect what you said. It's not that hard. So move on to individual. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong part of the agenda. Individual commissioner announcements. And if you happen to chair a committee, anything related to the committee chair, please. So we did backwards first. How about we start with 1C1 this time?
Everyone, no major updates about the SMD. Just to note that the construction at the Oyster Adams Middle School on 19th Street will happen on President's Day. They asked for permission to keep that construction on schedule, but it'll start at 8 a.m. Rather than 7 a.m. on some other days. And on the PZT committee, we have a meeting on the 19th. I've responded to a few folks who asked about an opportunity to speak on the priority bus project on Columbia Road, and happy to hear comments there. As always, I will put it on the agenda and I'll send out an agenda. We don't have a resolution on the agenda for the meeting regarding it, but if folks are interested in sharing more input on that, feel free. But I also recommend directing comments to DDOT and to the council, as they are the decision makers on any modifications to the project. So that's all for 1C01.
This next is me, 1C03. So there's always a lot of stuff going around here. One thing, I think it was last night, DPR has been having a bunch of kind of like updates on Ward 1 and 2 parks. Last night I attended to ask about Colorado Park, which has funds we advocated for this last year and got it, funds that are, I think, finalized to be used for erosion prevention on the 19th Street side of the park. And when I asked why they didn't mention it in their presentation, they said, "Oh my God, I completely forgot to include that specific park. So we'll do it next month," which I'm guessing means they're not quite ready to actually do any physical work yet, but hopefully it's soonish. So hopefully we'll also learn more what the timeline for that is. But they've, in general, been pretty good about communicating that stuff. This was just kind of a one-off forgetful moment, I suppose. Another thing, I guess it's 1C03 specific. It can be. I attended a CPR and Narcan training this weekend that was organized by a commissioner in Mount Pleasant. One, because it was just good to get reminded of how to do that stuff because it's been a while, and two, to kind of see what could be what's feasible for us to maybe have an event in Adams Morgan. It seems like people might be interested, but if anyone is interested in having something like that come together, just kind of voice that to me so I can just kind of assess that and try to get something organized. Especially if you have an idea of a venue we could use for free. I have some ideas, but if anyone has a readily available place, like the festival center, my festival center somewhere might be a good idea if they're available. But in any case, a place that can host like 30 people plus a firefighter or two, because it's the fire department who does that. So hopefully that can come together. Besides that, some other ideas for events and things in the community that haven't come together, but hopefully will in the near future. And when they are ready, I will share. 1C04.
Okay, hi everybody. I have a bunch of random announcements. I've also been going to a lot of trainings, just trying to get ahead of all the things that are going on. So there is a bulk trash collection happening at the Parkview Rec Center this Saturday from 10 to 2. So if anybody has like a couch or things to get rid of and they don't want to drive all the way to Fort Totten, that is happening on Saturday. Also, I was at the same DP, the same training I think Peter was at about the parks, and I have an update on the Walter Pierce bathroom. So this project, phase 1 was getting all the historic signage about the burial grounds. So phase 2 is the implementation of a bathroom, and I've had some questions about what's taking so long. So it is currently in the permit process, and the reporter said that the permits should be issued by the end of the month, which I'm assuming is the end of February. And then construction will take 30 to 60 days to complete. That seems like a long time, but that's what they said. So fingers crossed that the bathroom will be installed by the beginning of the summer. Third announcement, there are many signs up on Biltmore Street about a lost cat. I'm trying really hard to get the endorsement of the animal people because they didn't endorse me in the last election. So I'm going to start making a lot of animal announcements because I'm not a pet owner, but if you see a lost cat, you can check out those signs and get it back to its owner. My fourth thing is I've had a lot of emails from constituents about various things related to recycling pickup, trash pickup, Christmas trees, and random mattresses. So my first thought on this is just be patient. The leaf collection came by today, area 2, and the city has just had a backlog due to snow and all of the holidays. So first, assume that things will get picked up, and secondly, if they don't, use the 311. And then third, get in touch with a commissioner. And I think it's not just happening in my SMD, but it's throughout 1C. And I just want to piggyback on Daniel's announcement about concerns on the bus priority project. I went to the hearing today, and it's oversight time in the DC government. So if you have an issue with the bike lanes or the bus lanes, you can give testimony directly to the council member, and they pass it along to DDOT. So I would encourage folks to do that and put your stuff in writing, and that will save us time at Daniel's meeting.
Thanks. I'm going to quickly add one thing I forgot to mention. I'm now the chair of the Alcoholic Beverage Control and Public Safety Committee. I think we have one agenda item, or at least there's one placarded restaurant alcohol on-premise consumption license that came through. I'm still trying to get confirmation that someone from there can come to the meeting. I know that there's a shooting recently on Columbia, and also just public safety is always important, and trying to make sure our public safety stewards, which includes but is not limited to MPD, are involved in different capacities in what we do. I saw there's some email exchange, I think, between MPD and also the Adams Morgan bid, trying to get some sort of event organized. Not sure if we'll be able to have it on our Wednesday meeting, just due to if we have to have a discussion with a restaurant representative. But in any case, hopefully we can get something to come together. I just wanted to acknowledge that, and hopefully more correspond with the proper people separately. Back to the regular order. 1CO5, Commissioner Olson.
Thanks. Yeah, as a note, I mean, last night there was a shooting at the intersection of Ontario and Columbia, which is just on the border of 1CO5. I don't have any information about that beyond what I've seen in the news. I think has been mentioned here as a group. There are ways, if you have feedback about the Columbia Road project, to give those. I've had one discussion with folks from the Adams Morgan Business Improvement District, which is very helpful and useful to get oriented about existing work going on in the neighborhood. A lot of my attention has gone toward the commission's finances as treasurer, so I don't have many more particular updates. Personally, I'm very interested in 2910 18th Street, which I see out the window just over there from my apartment, which has been under construction for some time, and I'm now getting some mail about DC building committees about the status there. So if you're in 1CO5, please feel free to send me a note and either educate me or ask some questions about anything that's going on in 1CO5. I yield to which way are we going, up now? So that means Commissioner Laughlin.
Yes. So not a lot of updates. So if you are an avid library user like myself, the Mount Pleasant, you may have gotten an email that not in our ANC, but our neighbor, the Mount Pleasant Library will be closing February 10th to June 23rd for much needed repairs. So since that is typically our most closest library that I know a lot of residents in Adams Morgan use, just know if you have stuff that's on hold there, or you pick up things that are usually on hold, they are switching it to the Petworth Library, but you can modify your pickup place. So maybe the library over in Cleveland Park might be closer for some other individuals. But I'm a big library fan, so that it's definitely much needed. And until we have our own library in Adams Morgan, we support our neighboring libraries. As a note to the Public Service and Environment Committee, which we'll discuss later tonight, a resolution that we passed in our committee meeting last week regarding the bottle bill. But just as we've gotten a better hold of our finances and getting our allotments, and Commissioner Olson, I meant to send you stuff last night, but I had spent another late night at work. So I will get that done tonight. But just as a general note, we will update the guidance about grants and sponsorships. And just as a reminder that for grants, it is there are a lot of rules and regulations that we have to follow with the Office of ANC. And I know that we got a request from the Oyster Adams PTA for support for a field trip to Puerto Rico. I will send an official response, but if any of you are listening tonight, that is very, very highly unlikely that we can support that, because it's very specific to a group of students, and it is not something that benefits to that every resident in our ANC could participate in or be part of. So that is part of the restrictions that we work around. And then as I work out a proposal for more active engagement within our community about rat mitigation, that'll be on schedule for our next PSC meeting, which is February 26th. I'll be presenting some information on that to get feedback. And a big part of it is we want to get residents and community members engaged and active and help us do some data collection so that we can sort of find our hotspots and also work with the Department of Health on those issues. And those are my updates.
Commissioner Evans, all yours.
Okay. Hi, 07, Jean Evans. Hi, everyone. Not too much going on other than in my district, the incident that occurred last night at the corner of Ontario and Columbia. I got a call from a former ANC, Nancy, where it happened right in front of her window. Also spoke with Anthony prior to getting on this call, so he probably could speak more specifically as to, you know, what occurred or whatever. Other than that, I've got quite a few emails about also the Christmas tree pickup. Lots of Christmas trees are just sitting out here for, it's been almost a month now, and just concerned about, or who do I need to get in touch with to maybe escalate these pickup of these Christmas trees. Other than that, that's about it for me. So, Anthony, I don't know if you have any more detail as to what occurred last night.
Yeah, we'll get to him in just a second.
Oh,
Just wondering. Yeah,
no.
that's perfect. Yeah.
So as far as the Christmas trees, is there anybody I need to reach out to that can help to expedite pickup?
Moker's a good idea. Also, just in general, that I mean, I think I've seen trees out there as late as like June, so it's not a new problem, Sally. But
Okay.
yeah, we can
Well,
discuss.
also,
Yeah, Commissioner Diamond.
well, also I want to say there is a schedule on the dc.gov site, and Christmas trees are scheduled to be collected through the end of February, and it's only February 5th. So I think just giving the message out, just remain patient and calm. Like, there is a schedule, and not everybody celebrates the birth of Christ on December 25th. You know, for some people it's January 6th. So the holiday season is goes beyond December 25th. And so I just think some patience with this, that you know, the schedule allows for collection through February.
And I'm willing to guess the ice and snow last month affected.
Yeah.
So.
Are there any specific days that they do pick up? Does anybody know? Is it like on any?
Yeah, there is a schedule. It's like on the same place where you find out the leaf collection schedule.
We can set that separately and send it. It exists. We'll find something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioner Swanson Palmer, thanks for your patience. All yours.
From 1C09, I mostly just have updates on illegal dumping because, like Commissioner Diamond, I have gotten a lot of emails about trash left in the street or on the sidewalk, nowhere near a residence, for it to be attached to the residence. So just trying to figure out how we can get that cleaned up quickly and how we can keep it from being a consistent problem, though I'm not sure there's a very direct solution at this time. I also have 2 people who are on Mozart who have missed trash collection 4 or 5 times. So just working with DPW to get that figured out and to figure out how to keep it from being a persistent issue rather than just fixing it right now. But I would just echo Commissioner Diamond's advice to be patient because DPW is aware of the issues and they're trying to solve them. And hopefully we can get to a more, like I said, persistent or consistent solution soon. That concludes my updates. I think that's all of us.
Perfect. So now we can move on to next agenda item. We have a guest presentation. We've had this general presentation in the past, but not with this commission, of course. So Diane Romo Thomas from representing the Rock and Roll Half Marathon. We'll wait for her to get promoted and give a brief overview of the race, how it affects Adams Morgan and kind of DC in general, just because it has some road closures and diversions, etc., involved in the planning process.
Good evening.
Hi, good to see you. How are you doing?
You too. You too. Let me make sure you can even see me.
Good to almost see you. Yeah.
I'm sorry, my little slider thing is not open. There you go. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna be real quick. Now, I sent us like a 2-3 slide deck. Do you have it, or do you want me just to share the screen?
Share the screen if you want. That'd be
This is
easy.
gonna be very quick.
Go as fast as you want.
Okay. I know you guys have a lot in your agenda, so I'm going to run through this real quick. Hopefully you can see that first slide there.
That works.
Okay, so again, this is again, my name is Diane Thomas. This is my 13th year in front of this commission with the various commissioners, presenting on this event that impacts your ANC. This is the 17th year for the event. It is running on Saturday, March 15th this year. And let me see if I can advance the slide here. This is going to be interesting. There we go. So this is kind of an example of the entire course. Some of you may be familiar with it, may have been caught up in it in previous years. This ANC specifically is impacted right there along Calvert at mile 8. As you see the runners, it starts at 14th and Constitution, and you see it kind of transverses on the west part, goes through the park on the west there, pops out at Calvert, runs along Calvert to Adams Mill, and then up Columbia, and then out of your ANC at 16th Street. And then you see the runners continue kind of around by Howard, down North Capitol, and then they finish up at 3rd and Pennsylvania. You're going to have about 12,000 runners that you'll see coming down your street. This is a little closer look at what's going to happen. This is mile 8 of the half marathon. Again, I just went through the course itself, where it pops out onto from Calvert onto Adams Mill, and then goes eastbound on Columbia, and then veers off onto Harvard. So little notes there. MPD requires no parking along the route from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. They enforce that. I know in the past some cars have been moved, some haven't. So again, that's all on MPD's discretion. We do put no parking signs up. They're usually required to go up 72 hours ahead of time. So you'll see those on Wednesday, March 12th. You'll see course signs go up as they have in the past, the Saturday before, just to remind you guys, hey, it's coming up. All the closures are in ways for those who use that platform. It lets you get around the city if you have to go north or south to get around the closures. No music in this ANC. We used to have music there at Sun Plaza. Is it Suncoast Plaza or Sun Plaza right there at the corner? That is no longer there, just from, feedback from your community that it was just too much that time of the morning. So that's been taken out. Again, start times at 8 a.m. Your specific closure, you can probably see your first runner about 8. They'll probably start closing streets, them being MPD, about 8:30. That first runner will get up there pretty quick coming out of the park. We usually clear out of there by 11:30, and that includes cleanup. I think there's a water station right there at the corner, and Porta Johns, I believe, are right there at the corner of Adams Mill and Columbia, So you might have seen those in the past. So with cleanup, about 11:30 that we clear out of there. So I think there's one more slide. It just highlights the streets that are in your ANC, what will be impacted. It has noon. We've always stretched out a little bit more time to allow for cleanup, but historically we've kind of clocked it at about 11:30 that we're out of there. And MPD is the one that opens the streets up as long as everything's clear and all the trash is up. That's a nutshell. That's the event. I'm happy to answer any questions for you guys.
I appreciate it as always. I have one question. Anyone else have one that wants to go first? All right, so last year I proposed a route change, and he said that a lot of the entities at be like to accept for the National Park Service. I'm guessing that's still the case. Is that a dead end completely, or is there any
Yeah,
future hope of
that's
that?
that's all Park Service. They're very stingy on the use. But that was a very good suggestion, though, that I did give it to our race director. But it was fortunate he did hit the wall with the National Park Service.
That's too bad because
Yeah.
that one corner blocks off traffic in so many directions. So to get across
Agreed.
Connecticut, you have to basically go over to Northeast DC or wait a couple hours. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try with National Park Service and get them to
Yeah.
tell me no in different ways.
Yeah, you never know. We love to anything that helps make this less impactful on you guys. That's what we're trying to do. That's why we come out every year to make sure and get good suggestions from ANCs all the time to kind of tweak the course here and there.
Appreciate it. Anything else, commissioners? Appreciate your time, Diane. Hope you have a
Sure.
nice.
Okay, thank you guys.
Take care. All right, moving on. Public announcements. Anyone wants to say a few words on kind of general subject matters? If you're here for a specific agenda item, it might be better to wait, but you can say it now as well. Please raise your hand and try to keep it to a couple minutes. I'm not too rigid about that, but I will be if I need to. First hand up, Marina. Welcome.
Hello, I know I've met some of you and I want to thank you all for the time that you put in.
How are you doing?
And as commissioners, it's really appreciated. The farmers market that will take place after the winter and how there have been issues with attendance from the community and Licking Bend Creek, I hope I have the name correct, the people that bring us the food say that they might not even come back because there's been such poor attendance, and I'm hoping that there's some way that you can address better attendance because the farmers market in Mount Pleasant is absolutely packed, and so is the one at DuPont. So I don't know what's happening in Adams Morgan. Secondly, also 311 reporting. Oftentimes they'll close tickets and they don't even do anything. I reported some things the other day, graffiti, they closed the ticket immediately. And then a few other ones they did right away. So, you know, I can't complain about everything that they do, but a lot of times they're closing tickets and I've submitted things 5 times and they still don't do anything. So I don't know if there's anything we could possibly do about that. And also regarding the Columbia Road project, I did receive your email, Daniel. Thank you very much. I won't be able to attend. I'll be out of town that day. But I just want to mention that I believe that the council and DDOT are aware of all of the issues that were conveyed at the community meeting that took place several weeks ago that Marie attended. And but my concern is oversight. Like, will they actually do anything about any of the issues that were presented before there's an accident? Because there are a lot of accidents just waiting to happen, and it's frightening. So hopefully nothing will happen, but I'm just hoping that that there's some oversight and maybe the ANC can convey that information to DDOT and the council somehow to follow up to ask them what's going on, because I imagine anything being done will take a long time. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Just on the 311 report, I'll just note that that's a common issue that a lot of people have frustrations with. One way to kind of deal with it, come to individual commissioners and we can try to find people in the right agencies to push. It doesn't always work, but it's a little bit better than just the general inquiries, which sometimes work. But just want to acknowledge that that's a universal problem that could be fixed, but has not been fixed because I think there are a lot of requests and it's not enough staff to always deal with them. Next on the list, Jeannie, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jeannie. I am a longtime resident of 1954 Columbia Road. And while I'm often here, hi Daniel, to talk about Adams School, I wanted to talk about Columbia Road. I wrote to Daniel and DDOT on December 14th and again on January 18th about moving the wheel stop in front of our building at 1954 Columbia Road to allow for safe pickup and drop off. for 96 families living in our building, including seniors, those with mobility challenges, and children. Kevin Harrison of DDOT did reply on December 16th, saying he would forward my request to the design engineers for their consideration. I've heard nothing after a January 18th request for an update. My neighbors regularly ask me, a condo board member, an ANC groupie, and a neighborhood enthusiast, for an update. Please advise the best way to proceed to ensure DDOT is considering our request. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Commissioner Hartman, if you want to chime in.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I thank you for reminding me of your follow-up note on the 18th. I'm gonna actually reply to Kevin right now, and if we don't hear from him, and I'll let him know within a week on the status, then I will elevate it to council members' offices, so that we can push DDOT to make a decision on that. I think that there is room to allow for a pickup zone, but I'm not a traffic expert, and I want to make sure we follow all the regulations. But if there is an opportunity to have a pickup spot there, better than folks stopping in traffic or driving over the wheel stop and potentially blocking the bike lane as well.
I have a question. So Jean, are you in the Skylar Arms? Is that your building?
That is correct.
Yeah, so I just want to say I mentioned earlier I was at the hearing today, the DDOT oversight, and I did give some testimony, and I included your building in my testimony. So just saying that buildings had lost access. So I have already, without even meeting you, amplified your voice. So it's your building and 2006 Columbia Road, which is the Oakland, and also the Calverton, all of those buildings are in the same boat. So just to let you know, I have also mentioned that. So hopefully you can get some resolution.
Thank you. And as a longtime condo board member, I thank you all for your service to our community.
Appreciate it. And to hear that ANC groupies exist, that's I think heartwarming. So I appreciate that as well. Looks like next is Nicole Rivera from Councilmember Nadeau's office. Welcome, Nicole.
Folks, I know I'm not your typical attendee from our office, so for those who don't know me, I'm Nicole Rivera. I'm Councilmember Nadeau's Chief of Staff. Happy to be here. Want to share a couple updates from our office, as has already been mentioned. Thank you, commissioners, for raising this. It is performance oversight season at the council. We really encourage folks to come out and testify. We need to hear about your experiences with these various agencies so that we can conduct really robust oversight and make things work better. Very importantly of note, in our committee, Public Works, DPW's oversight hearing is next week on February 11th. I've already heard some feedback tonight about some issues with DPW. So please feel free to come out and testify. You can testify in person, on Zoom, or you can submit written testimony if you can't make it out to the hearing. So please share that with us. I also heard a couple questions about 3-on-1 requests tonight. Please don't hesitate to reach out to our office as well. Your ANC commissioners can help a lot. So can our office, to try to get those resolved, especially when they get closed out without action being taken. That's really frustrating. But if you send us the 3-on-1 request number and a little bit about what happened, we can hopefully get that resolved for you. After my time is up, I will put my contact info in the Q&A for folks. Really quickly, some other quick updates. We have some great news for violence prevention and public safety in Ward 1. Inner City Collaborative CDC was recently awarded the ONE's violence interrupter contract for Ward 1 neighborhoods. They've already been doing great work elsewhere in the city. We have a really great relationship with their director, Reverend Judy Martin. And so we're really excited for them to have more violence intervention services on the ground here in Ward 1. We're, working closely with Reverend Judy on how we can continue to support their really important work. And then I think I heard a quick mention of it earlier already. You guys are stealing all my thunder. But we did introduce the bottle bill earlier this year. It is a deposit program to try to get some litter off of our streets and out of our rivers. A lot of beverage containers end up going to landfills rather than getting recycled. And then they end up on our streets as well. And we're trying to really fundamentally change this, a really significant portion of the recycling ecosystem in the district. We have 11 co-introducers, which is so exciting. It's a huge show of support from fellow council members. And essentially what it does is establishes a beverage container deposit program. Retailers collect a 10-cent deposit from consumers for beverage containers. That doesn't include dairy or infant formula or medications. When customers then return their bottles and cans to the store or to a container redemption center, they would get their 10 cents back. So we're very excited about this. A lot more to come. There'll be opportunities to testify and share your feedback. So encourage folks to read up on it and come share with us what you think. So I'll stop there to not take up any more time, but if anyone has questions, happy to answer them.
That was great. Very packed. Commissioner Laughlin, looks like you have a question.
Do you have any idea when the compost bins will be installed? We were told we were going to get one at Unity Park and in front of Harris Teeter, and it's been months.
Yes, that is a great question. We were actually just talking about this earlier today. It is in the procurement process, is the latest we've heard. So DPW is still working on procuring.
So that means so they haven't purchased them yet, or
it's like in process. I don't think we
Okay.
haven't received them yet. I can get more detailed information, but it's
Okay.
it's still in progress. It's still happening. But just is
Okay. And this to piggyback on, I know there were comments earlier about the farmers market at Unity Park. One hope is if we have that compost bin there, that'll drive some traffic to Unity Park, because a lot of people are taking their compost to the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market. And just also the Licking Bend Creek, I'm a member of it. They are a different farmers market than the other ones in the city, because they're independent and they run their own market. The other ones in the district are part of like a conglomerate. So there's a difference in their type, and that might drive the traffic differently to the markets.
Thank you for all that. All right, thank you so much, Nicole. Really appreciate you being here tonight. Good to see
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
So we have a few more hands up. Next is Kristen Barton from the Adams Morgan Partnership and Business Improvement District. Welcome, Kristen. How are you doing?
Hey, everyone. How you doing? It always takes a minute to join as a panelist, so I feel like there's like this gap. A couple things to talk about and respond to, and I want to thank both Maria Elise and Scott for meeting with us and extend that invitation to the rest of the new commissioners. Brian and I are happy to meet with any of the new commissioners and have coffee, chat for an hour. Happy to do it. So please feel free to continue to reach out for us, and we'll get those scheduled, in the next month or two. Second, the Columbia Road project. We too have heard lots of complaints. We're getting lots of videos of, problems with traffic management. And also there's still some signage that hasn't been installed. There's some traffic lights that aren't working yet. There's a whole bunch of stuff. The project isn't finished yet. We know that. DDOT had thought it would be done at the end of December. It's now February and it's still not done. I don't know exactly when it will be done. But as soon as it is, we're going to be submitting our report to them with videos and photos and, a list of issues, but also we have a list of recommendations of changes that we think could be easily implemented. And I'm happy to share that with the ANC when we do submit it, because I think it's important that we don't just complain, right? That we actually come to them with some concrete things that can be done to fix it. So, because we all know that it's not going to get torn out, right? So, but there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. So anyhow, we'll be doing that as soon as the project is finished, or completed, as soon as the construction's done, and it's not done yet. So, and we don't know when it will be done. Like we thought it was going to be done, a while ago, and it's not. So anyhow, hang in there. But we're in touch with DDOT every day, it feels like lately. So about stuff. Also, I wanted to mention the streetery program. So the streetery program is still paused by the mayor. And we don't know what that path forward is. We had a call today with DDOT, and it's still paused, which means the pilot project on 18th Street is also paused. So we're going to be communicating with the mayor to unpause this project because it's holding the businesses back from being able to use the space effectively, to make it their own, to add planters, to add whatever they want, right, to get permits for electricity, et cetera, et cetera. The program is paused citywide, not just our pilot, but and I'm going to communicate this with the council member as well, because now is the time that they want to be getting ready for the spring, right, getting their space ready for the spring to welcome all the cherry blossom visitors, to welcome all the World Pride visitors, right? So this is something that's very much on our mind. So yeah. So if the ANC feels strongly, about the importance of the streetery program to the city, to Adams Morgan and the city, I would encourage you to, advocate for that with the council member and with the mayor and with DDOT. So we're going to be doing that because it is super important to so many of our businesses. And it's an economic driver for the city, right? Like, every seat on those streeteries generates 10% in, prepared food and in beverage tax. So it's a really important program. So those are a couple things. Let me get into our programming. So, and this is all in our newsletter, which comes out on Wednesdays. So if you don't get that, you should, but I'll just tell you about a couple of things that are in there today. So Adams Morgan Date Nights is back. We do this every February. And it's a contest, so you can enter to win one of the prize packages, which are each worth hundreds of dollars. So I think there's 4 prize packages. We'll pull a lucky winner, one each week. And then also there's all kinds of other fun date night ideas on there, whether it's going for a girls' night out, or a first date, or father-son heading out for ice cream. There's lots of ways to celebrate love this month. We're also doing a Valentine's Day storefront decorating contest. And I think, Scott, you're going to be the ANC rep who's going to judge the storefronts. So we have 18 Adams Morgan businesses who have signed up. And we have 2 groups, both food and beverage and retail and services. And and there'll be a first, second, third prize in each of those categories. So I think they have to finish decorating by Friday. And then the public can vote as well. And then the judges are going to judge on Wednesday, and we'll announce the winners on Friday, on Valentine's Day. Also, Because Science, the retail science store on Columbia Road, they're doing a Valentine's Day card workshop this Saturday from 2 to 5. I think it'll be a ton of fun. And you can just drop in anytime between 2 and 5. They would like people to register, but you don't have to. And that'll be really fun. Also DDOT is doing the e-bike incentive program. I don't know if anybody heard about this, but it helps residents buy electric bicycles. Applications are open for that through February 21st. So I think that's a really cool thing to help buy a bike. I think that's everything that was in the newsletter that might be of interest. Yeah, and I'm happy to take any questions. People have questions.
One quick question that at least a couple of us have. Do you have any idea what's the reasoning behind the mayor's pause on the street program, or is this just her shutting down things that are popular, as is often the case?
I don't know. I wish I did. I do know that she's not crazy about our pilot project. I don't know all the reasons why she's not crazy about it. It was her project. We thought it, went really well, given the tight time constraints that we were under, and the tight budget we had. 33 businesses got, a new streetery, with the $750,000 that was spent to do it. So, and, we had to put this all together between like April and September. I mean, the money had to all be spent, before the end of September. So it's a very quick project. We thought that, it went pretty well given the, money and time constraints, right?
Is it,
yeah.
so when you say it's paused, so if it remains paused, would the businesses not be allowed to serve or use the spaces they have right now?
Well, no, they could use them, right? They just
Okay.
they can't make any changes to it. Like they
Got
can't
it.
get a permit for electric. They can't get, they can't, they
Got it.
can't, put planters out there. They can't make any improvements, right? I mean, they
Okay.
can use it but they can't make any improvements to it. So, and
Yeah,
most of them
yeah.
want to make it their own, right? And want to,
Absolutely. Got it.
so,
Okay.
yeah, but the permanent regulations that were supposed to have been rolled out January 1st are paused citywide. So DDOT's not issuing any new streetery permits anywhere in the city. They're not issuing any new electric permits for streeteries anywhere in the city. So the permanent program is paused, as well as our pilot project. So, yeah, because our pilot project was supposed to demonstrate the new regs, right? Like that was why it was a pilot, it was supposed to demonstrate, here's what the new regs look like. But the whole program is paused. So, yeah, and we hope to get it, we hope it gets unpaused very soon so that things can start moving again and businesses can get ready for the busy spring. So, yeah, because we want them to be busy.
Just keep us kind of copied on correspondence regarding advocacy for that. That'd be helpful. I know this commission, I think on multiple occasions, voted in support of like street closures for events and also streety stuff. So it's up
Yeah,
for us, and I think it's probably safe to say that some or most or all of us are willing to do something about it. So hopefully that's not
thank you.
in the event we can try.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. And thank you also. I know the letter to the Mayor's Special Events Task Group was on the consent agenda to support the street closure for the spring and fall Porch Fest. So thank you for that. We're meeting with the Mayor's Special Events Task Group on Monday. So we need that letter like tomorrow, please, so we can send them. Thank you. We sent them the rest of the presentation earlier this week, but we need the letter as well. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it, Kristen. Have a nice evening.
All right. Thanks. You too.
Couple more hands up. Thanks for everyone that's been patient. It's already an hour into our meeting. Barbara, you're next up.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. I know some of you. So I have 2 points I'd like to make tonight. The first one is, I was wondering, when you do these Zoom meetings, I was wondering if you could let us know how many people are attending. And secondly, I was wondering if Commissioner Swanson Palmer, as secretary, could include the attendance numbers in the minutes. I know that this ANC used to include that in the minutes, towards the beginning of COVID and going to fully remote. So there's that. And then the second thing I wanted to call to your attention, I've been in touch with Kevin Harrison about this. There is a parking, loading, I don't know what to call it, I live at the Calverton across the street, so near the Potter's House and in front of the Community Health Center. And I think there's an issue with the signage. It's 3 parking spaces and then there's areas with all those stripes. And it's dangerous because because sometimes as many as 8 cars are parked there and some are parking on the crosswalk. The signage says no parking or standing anytime. That clearly is not the intention of this. It was added to the design with no notice of intent, I have no idea what the community input was. So I think a solution or a starting point is to, as quickly as possible, correct the signage. And then I'm really concerned. I look out on it, so I watch these potential conflicts and potential accidents all the time. There are cars that are parking backing up rather into the two crosswalks, the one across Columbia Road and then the one across 17th Street. And it just really feels like an accident ready to happen. And if the intent is for, say, unloading for the Federal's Pig or for the Potter's House or for patients at the health center, there are cars that are parked there for many, many hours, 24 hours a day. So that's those are my 2 points. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I'll try to briefly address them both, actually, in reverse order. And if you're already corresponding with Kevin Harrison and other DDOT people, continue to do that. Continue to copy commissioners. I think that's been our best path, is just to find the contact person or our people and push for suggestions like that, or at least advocate that we acknowledge that there are potential issues so they can have engineers assess them better. And the first issue, I don't think that there's an issue with putting in our minutes attendees. Just like that's the type of thing that we often just go to ONC to make sure we're doing things following their protocol. It's also not something that's easily visible by attendees just because there are Zoom bombers and sometimes they get very graphic and do bad things. But the compensation for that is to make it so that people can't just share whatever they want on the screen in meetings, but because of the way Zoom interface works, it shields some information like that. I guess with the caveat that people can come and go in meetings. So like having this is the fixed number of people that attended is a little bit tricky, but we'll kind of work with it. And Commissioner Swanson Palmer and I can figure out what the best approach is. But in general, every meeting is like somewhere between 15 to 25 people, including commissioners, like steadily for the last 4+ years. So with some exceptions, it's, I think, across the city, kind of similar numbers, sometimes less actually. Last hand up. Thank you for your patience. Anthony from the mayor's office. Welcome. How are you doing? Good evening.
Can you hear me?
We got you. Yeah.
Hello, how y'all doing, commissioners? How y'all doing tonight? I'd like to just thank everybody for everything that I do for the community. I have a few things to report out, and Commissioner Scott, I can probably help give just a little more update as to the incident last night on Columbia Road. And I guess I'll start with that. That there was according to MPD, there was 5 gentlemen out on the corner, and some altercation argument between them happened. One pulled out a knife. Apparently, according to them, somebody pulled out a knife, which was ended up being the victim, and the other person pulled out a gun um, and shot the victim. I believe that it's still non-life threatening. I believe the victim still living, and everybody else just ran away. So it seemed like this was a incident where they knew each other and they were just hanging out. And this also made me realize something else. So normally what I do is my protocol for Ward 1 is if it happens in your SMD, I will send you a text message. But what I realized is maybe moving forward, since it is all of y'all SMDs, and the ANC is is one, and what happens in one SMD affects all. So if it's okay with everyone, if y'all don't mind getting them late night texts, I will send y'all. I will send if it happens in 1C, I will send all the commissioners the update. Now mind you, this happens in real time, so it may be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when this happens. With that being said, is that okay with everyone? Because I don't. Okay.
Yes, please.
And Commissioner Wood, if you could, because mine, I think when I still text you, it goes to your email.
Yeah, my phone's weird. We'll figure it out between us.
All right, we gotta get that one. All right, and okay, and I also want to address the trees. Please, if you have, yes, it is up until the end of February, but if you have flagged any trees on your in your SMDs, send them to me. Send me the picture with the 301 request, or I mean, 301 request a picture in that location. And we can work with MPD to get that taken care of. The illegal dumping, yes, I am your connect for that. So you can, if you have that information, you can send that to me, and I will get the partners from DPW on that probably tomorrow if you can get it to me soon. And that goes for that goes for any of your commissioners. If y'all have any of the issues in your SMD, like the Mokers, we are your outlet. And we have those relationships with the agencies for this reason, for to serve the community, for the to make sure that we can get this done. So please utilize that. I put my number in the chat. I'm not gonna hold everybody hostage. Real quick, it was mentioned, but we do have a roll off this weekend on Saturday in Parkview. Now, I sent this to everybody, and it wasn't lost on me that Parkview is in 1E, but like I say, it's Ward 1. And whenever we have these events, if it happens in 1C, I'm going to spread it throughout the ward. And that's just something like this I want to be able to do throughout the ward. Whenever we have something, invite everyone to it, because we're all Ward 1. So if the weather permits, we're going to do a cleanup. If not, we'll reschedule the cleanup. And also, we can also schedule a cleanup in your SMD if you like, and we will bring the supplies with Clean City. You give me at least a two-week notice, and so we can coordinate it, and we can bring this stuff out, and I'll help amplify it and get the word out. I want to say I'm close to done. Hold on, I want to say I'm close to done. And just one more quick reminder that if there's anything that is happening at SMD that you need to get addressed, whether it's DDOT, DPW. DDOT's a little more complicated, but DDOT, I mean DPW, any of those issues, I need assistance with, please reach out. If your residents have any issues with the electricity, any of these things, please reach out to your Mokers, and I will make sure I assist. Is there any questions or concerns I can help with?
I got a couple. Anyone else have anything? Events. I was gonna say, do you want to do one in Navs Morgan at some point? We could get something together. I know Commissioner Diamond has been kind of in the early stages of trying to get something together for a cleanup. So if you're interested, we could make one of the next Ward 1 events be over here. How's that sound?
No, that sounds great. And one of the pluses to this, we will provide the trash bags, the pickers, trash bag pickers, and also coordinate with DPW to come get this what we
Sure.
collect.
That sounds good. Second question, and we can correspond separately, but do you know the secret to getting DGS to do their job? Because there's a lot of broken stuff in Colorado parks, playgrounds that I've been bothering them for about almost 2.5 years, and they haven't really done it. So if you can help with that, that'd be cool.
I'm the secret to that.
Yeah, we'll take this offline, and we'll push them to get their stuff done. That sounds great.
No problem. Yes, no problem. We can definitely do that. Is there anybody else?
Stuff will come up, so I'll bring it to you. Be ready.
No, thank y'all so much, and I appreciate everything y'all do. And feel free to reach out anytime.
Looks like Kristen has a quick question. Let's see what she has, because it might be relevant.
Sorry, I hit the button by mistake. Sorry.
Oh, never mind.
Hey,
Sorry.
Ms. Kristen.
Good to hear you. Well, thanks again, Anthony.
No problem.
Good
Yeah,
evening. Talk to you later. All right, now we can move on to the rest of our agenda. Consent agenda. So technically, I think I've actually received a guidance on this before. We've confirmed the agenda, but you can technically say you want one of the consent agenda items off at this point if you want, which seems ridiculous, but do that in the future if you have an issue before we confirm the agenda. So if nothing further is said, consent agenda will be adopted. There's a bunch of stuff, but like we said, we've gone through before, and it's kind of one-off things. Regular agenda, we have a few different items, one of which was supported by a committee. So we'll start with that. And so resolution in support of the DC bottle bill. Commissioner Laughlin, you want to introduce this?
Yeah, so you got a little bit of a preview of it tonight from Councilmember Nadeau's office, but it has already been introduced in the council with large support from our council members. So just to really simplify it, if you've ever gone to like New York, Michigan, Hawaii, Iowa, I think you'll see on the top of a can, like I got one here, you'll see like a deposit value. So when you purchase that item, there's a deposit taken from that that goes into a fund. And then when you return the can or the bottle, you can get that deposit back. So the proposal is for the district to have a 10-cent bottle deposit. So that'd be for aluminum and plastic. And the plan is then to put redemption centers and like particularly in grocery stores, convenience stores, there are certain like regulations on the size and placement of where those bins would go. And you know, the largest goal of part of this is really to sort of reduce the amount of litter and trash on our streets, but also in a way provide a way for people to get back a little bit of money for a thing that they purchase, or if you give it to someone else, they can take it in and earn that money for themselves. A lot of other states have seen a lot of great response to this, but also just reduce litter on their streets. The one thing I will point out, which we did have the Sierra Club members, one of their members came to present this to us at the PSC meeting. They've been very supportive of the bill, but also doing a lot of education and outreach, which is part of our resolution to let the council really would need to do a lot of education and outreach on this, particularly on this point. So if you bought the can or bottle or the 6-pack of soda or whatever in Maryland and then brought it into the district, there's no deposit made there, because in Maryland, when you're buying it, you're not paying a deposit. It's only for if it's purchased in the district. So that could be a little tricky because DC being sort of right in the middle of Virginia and Maryland. But the good thing is that the state of Maryland is also considering a similar bill. So, we can share bottles and cans across the border if it comes to that. So I think 8 other ANCs have already passed a similar resolution in support of this. And they are definitely trying to get the most support from wards 5, 7, and 8. Because those are the areas that border mostly on the Anacostia River. And part of this is also to reduce trash and in the river, and bottles and cans are definitely part of that. And we've already seen a lot of, with the bag fee, we've seen a lot less plastic bags in our trash system. So this is just one additional step. I don't know, Commissioner Diamond, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that discussion last week.
No, all good. You covered everything.
Well, I'll move for us to support this. Anyone have any further comments? Doesn't need a second because it's supported by committee. Any further comments, questions on this? And I'll just say, I grew up in one of the states that has this right in place, and I haven't lived there in a long time, but like this incentivizes people for different motivations to pick up cans and try to get money out of it. And there's also, wasn't there a Seinfeld episode about this where he drives to Michigan?
There is. Yeah. And I went to college in Iowa, and we literally would collect cans so we could buy pizza for our dorm room. So maybe students at GW or Georgetown could do a similar thing. But it's the more states that we can get added to the tops of these cans, the better.
All right, anything else, commissioners? Anyone in attendance? All right, let's put it to vote. All those in favor of supporting this? I guess I should add, should we send this to council at large, I guess, just because they're considering the bill?
Yeah, I think that would be the best. Yeah.
All those in favor of supporting this, sending it to council, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on, we have a few general items that did not come from any committees for various reasons. First, we'll have a presentation. If you're here from the Cuban Embassy, first, thank you for waiting this long. And second, please raise your hand so that we can promote you, so you can give a brief presentation on some proposed modifications to that facility, which is located on 16th Street, so the outer east corner or outer east boundary of the Adams Morgan ANC periphery. Yeah, I think I said that right. Almost. Alexandra, welcome. Glad to have you. Thanks again for.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Carlos Amores should be on too, from the Cuban embassy.
See Carlos. Yeah.
Yeah, so Carlos is joining too. Thank you. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah. It's all yours.
Great. Okay. Can you all see this now?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, my name is Alexandra Wilson. I'm a zoning attorney from Sullivan and Barros, and I'm here with Carlos from the Cuban embassy. This isn't really a zoning issue per se, except we are going in front of the Foreign Mission Board of Zoning Adjustment on February 26th. This is the property. This line is where the zones split the property. So this is the RA4 zone and this is the RA2 zone. And it's relevant later in my presentation. So this is the Cuban embassy and surrounding properties. Front of the building. The proposed work is occurring in the rear of the building. It's a beautification effort of this area. And so I believe it originally stemmed from the neighbors requesting the fence be replaced. Initially, that was the only thing proposed. But then after discussions with HPO, I believe they requested that this area be flattened to match the level here. And so now the project proposed is a 8-inch retaining wall and a new fence. And it should look similar in grade to the property next door. And so it's a very, very simple project. There are permits that have already been issued for this. It did not trigger any zoning relief. However, this is an existing embassy chancery. So they are required by law to go to the FMBZA, which is the BZA. They just add foreign mission. Once foreign mission that goes on, they're required by law to go and get this approved because it's considered an addition or extension of an existing chancery that is located in a low density zone because it's RA2, even though the RA2 is an apartment zone and would not normally be considered lower density. So any addition or expansions to chanceries in that area, in that type of zone, have to go through no matter how small the project. And so that is why we are going to the board on the 26th. And we're here just providing a project update to let everybody know the status. I believe there have been some permit notices on the property already. I see a question, yes.
Just so I know, if the permits are granted and no issues with the board, when would the construction take place? How long would it take?
I'll defer to Carlos if you're on.
Yeah, thank you and good evening, everyone. Do you listen to me? Are you hearing?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Yeah, we will start immediately. And according to the contractors, it will take a month, something like that.
Will there be any disruption to the rest of the street? Will the sidewalk be closed in the meantime?
They will work inside. So that what they will do, they will move the current fence, the link fence, inside the embassy so that they have the area outside to work, remove all the dirt. That will take maybe 1 day or two, removing all the dirt that they will use to fill up another part of the embassy inside. And then after that, it will be basically inside the area, inside the area of the lot of the embassy, because they will be constructing the retaining wall and then putting up the new fence.
And I'm seeing a big tree in this picture. I assume there'll be no impact on that tree.
We are not touching the tree. What we are doing is we are moving the fence, the current fence, behind the tree, so that the embassy will still have security, of course. they will work outside the old fence, and once the new fence is built in the place where the current fence is, then the old fence will be removed, and then it will look very similar to the Lithuanian embassy to the right, and the tree will remain inside the embassy as it is now. So we are not touching the tree.
Thank you.
Perfect. That was my question too. It's a beautiful tree. So
Yeah.
Mr. Laughlin.
I'm just gonna note, because I walk that block all the time, anything that you can do for this construction for rat mitigation would be excellent. There are a lot of rat dens along that area, so hopefully this construction will drive them out.
I hope we actually we have a contract with a company at the embassy. They come regularly, and we are free of rats inside the embassy.
Yeah, rats like slopes, like a hill. So like that little slope there is probably, they just like it. It's hard. I get it. It's just, but hopefully this will scare them away for
Yeah,
a spell.
there will be a wall, and then something very similar to the embassy tower building in the back. So
perfect.
probably you're right. Maybe they will be scared to be there.
Right. Hopefully.
Anything else, commissioners? Well, in my mind, this is pretty simple and one of those things that ideally might not even have to come to ANC's, but here we are, and I appreciate your time. This did not come from a committee. You're seeking support from the ANC. Could you email me? I imagine this will pass, but in the event that it doesn't, we'll discuss. But could you email maybe who it's best to address the letter to, just so I make sure I get someone? Is that possible, Alexandra?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, I'll send you the BZ submission email and who to address it to with a letterhead and everything.
Sure. So I'll move for us to support this. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor, we say aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passing unanimously. Pretty simple. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for taking the evening
Yeah,
to.
thank you for putting
Thank you.
in so much. Yeah, thank you.
Good night.
Looking forward to the finished product. Next item on the agenda, and I'll especially appreciate the patience waiting to this, because I know you've been waiting on my email responses as well as to speak tonight. So we're here regarding 2312 Ashmead Place, kind of similarly relatively small impact proposal that ANC supporters requested for. If you're here regarding that matter, if you could raise your hand. I think we had one person, right? Aaron, is that right? There we go. Welcome, good evening. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. You're on mute if you're talking, and if not, we'll wait. It's okay. Well, we'll wait for a few seconds. Hey, Aaron, you there?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening. So yeah, just to start, if you could just give us an introduction of what you're requesting support for, and we can discuss if need be. Appreciate you taking the time to present us tonight.
Yep, no problem. So it's 2312 Ashmead Place. We're a roofing contractor. We're in agreement with the owner to basically do some flashing work around their chimney and some roof tile and underlayment. So there's a small alley next to the property that we would need to use to access the roof. So the main reason I'm here is to ask for a letter of support from the ANC, just for us to do a 1-week closure on the alley to, just to get our work done. The alley does run around the backside of the building, so there are 2 ways to access this alley. So we would only be closing the one access point. And the owners are in agreement and everything, so we were just needing this letter of support in order to get the DDOT permit.
Well, that's good to know. So from DDOT, it seems like a relatively simple request, and I appreciate you taking the time to come to us and ask for this or request this support. Commissioners, you got any questions, comments on this?
I assume the closure is just like during like their set hours for when it would be closed.
So I don't believe there's nowhere to leave our man lift in the area.
Okay. Right.
So it would be closed for the duration of the project, which
Okay.
we're asking for 7 days, but realistically, it should just be the one, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
It looks like a circle to the alley. So like you're saying that the building that you're working on is one end of it. So you can, like the closing the one end doesn't actually restrict any other residents' access. Like they'll still be able to get to their buildings.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Just take a few seconds longer, depending which direction you're coming from, I guess. All right, well, I'll move that we send support. This is easy. Can I get a second?
Second.
Mr. Diamond. All right, any last thoughts? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Appreciate your time, Aaron. Really do. And I'll get that sent out as soon as I can.
All right, thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thanks as well. So we just have one more agenda item. We don't really have to do much. I just kind of put it on there because among many other things, this past month has been how do I put this politely? Busy. There's one the Line Hotel is one of, I guess, the few hotels in the ANC 1C and one of the few properties that is relatively large in scale. So every property matters to different degrees, but it's one that has historically had drawn quite a bit of attention and interest from the neighborhood for different reasons. So, I say that because its fate or function are important to the neighborhood, maybe disproportionately so. Recently had a transfer of property ownership through a public auction. There were rumors that it might have gone to other parties that ended up not bidding on it, but in any case, just kind of want to put an agenda item that we could discuss tonight. We can do it not formally or both in the future. One thought I had is maybe with a new ownership, just drafting and potentially sending a letter in the future might make sense. Just to say, hey, just reminding you, we want to be good neighbors and we want you to also be good neighbors to the neighborhood. There's a planned unit development contract, essentially the document that binds some of how the property functions. So it might be helpful to remind them of that. It seems that there's a chance that they might not want to own the property in the long haul. Of course, it's impossible to know that. But in any case, it seemed like something that might not be the most unreasonable thing considering the rumors of who may or may not have interest in the property. It could change in the future as well. Just curious if anyone has any thoughts, comments, agreement, disagreement over that kind of idea. Not really proposing to take any action on it tonight, but just to kind of put it out there to see if commissioners or anyone in the community thinks that that is a worthy endeavor. It'd be a pretty simple thing to draft, I think, but I just don't literally have a thing because I've been busy, so I didn't write anything down.
And to clarify, Commissioner Wood, you're talking about there's a community room in the basement. Are there other sort of entailments that we're talking about here?
Yeah, I can send the document to everyone. I dug it up the other day, but basically when the line was in the process of being planned, there's quite a bit of communication with ANC 1C, which to some would be a lot. To some, I imagine people claim that there was none. That's how that goes, right? But there's a lot of presentations and I think some votes of support. And I think some of the stipulations that came out of that was like the proportion of workers in the hotel have to be like 50% or more DC residents, things like that. Don't quote me specifically, but it's like along those lines, among other things. I forget the bullet. There's like literally a bullet list.
And the community room or like an access to a community room or something. I don't know if that was part of it.
So the room exists and it's one that we've used for meetings.
Right.
That's something that we could potentially, and maybe will potentially use it for things in the future. I forget the other points, but yeah, in general, it's stuff like that, we don't have the power to enforce anything, but maybe it's worth just reminding that it exists, because that could potentially be a disincentive to certain powers to just not meddle in the neighborhood if they don't feel that they'd have a plan that matches the kind of way Adams Morgan works. Does that make sense, Commissioner Diamond?
Yeah, interestingly, right before this meeting, I was at a happy hour at the Line Hotel with a bunch of residents in Adams Morgan. And half of the people did not even know about these agreements with the Line Hotel. So I would be 100% in favor of something like this, because I think it's good to sort of keep that in the public attention, that this is a resource for the community, not just for potential new owners, but just for also, there's always new people in the neighborhood, and the the rebuilding of that hotel, there was a lot of community engagement, and there was a lot of emotions connected to what happened there, and sort of reminding people of like the positive outcome for the neighborhood is good.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And we could even copy, like, we don't have enforcement power, like I said, but
Right.
powers that do have that, or the entities that do have that power, we could maybe even say, hey, we're just reminding you that you could have done a better job of paying attention to stuff in the past, but why not start?
Yeah.
It's better than ever. I mean, it's impossible to tell if it'll be effective, but it's an idea. Any other thoughts, commissioners? Would anyone be willing to help me draft a letter in the coming month? Maybe we can consider it at a committee or just our full commission next month or something. There's not really a pressing timeline, but something along those lines could make sense. You don't have to commit now, and don't all speak at once, but if anyone wants to, we'll talk afterwards. Just reach out to me and we'll figure it out. So I'm not really proposing any motion. Anyone have any last thoughts on this matter? All right, that does it for it. Any last closing words before we adjourn for the evening, commissioners? Good second meeting. Appreciate everyone that was in attendance and everyone that came and participated, and have a good rest of your month. Have a good night.
Good night.